Hey, everybody. It is Monday night. It's February 18th, and thrilled that you guys are here for tonight. We are continuing our series on our coach development, and we spent the past two sessions when we did this type of training talking about the sponsoring mindset and really opening up our minds and really getting a good understanding of how and why we want to offer the coach opportunity to other people. So my name is Dee Corchin. If I didn't say that, my husband Larry's on the phone with us on the call, and Lauren Yeomans is going to be helping to facilitate tonight. And tonight's topic is really about doing an explore call with a potential client. So how do we introduce the idea to somebody about exploring coaching, and then what does that look like? And so I chose, Lauren to participate, as an integrated national director. She has done a great job offering coaching to others. But Lauren, I wanted you just to kind of kick off, because you said that even though you've been offering coaching successfully to people and doing explores, that you learned from watching this week's webinar. So I thought maybe you could share with some of that you learned.
Yeah, thanks, Dee. And hi, everybody. So yeah, I thought this call was super, super helpful for me, and definitely going to be changing a lot of the wording and the way that I've phrased, or the type of questions I'm asking in the Coach Explore calls. And one thing that really stuck out to me was making it about them. Because I feel like it can be so easy, and we get so excited to share about how much we love coaching and what coaching has meant to us and why we started coaching, and can get so excited and just talk a lot during those calls. At least I find I can sometimes end up doing that. And they really talked about that we don't need to talk them into this, that this is just our time to connect with them and to hear, to find out why coaching would be a great fit for them and what it could really do for their life. And so I really liked that the goal is connection and listening to connect and hear what they are saying instead of trying to think about what your response is going to be to what they say. Because I know for me that can really be my tendency is, while they're talking, instead of really focusing on what they're saying, already be thinking about what I'm going to say to respond. And so kind of slowing that call down and just really finding out, why are you interested in coaching, and what do you think that this could do for your life? So that was something that really impacted me, and something that I definitely want to start using with coaching. But anybody else, any other, takeaways from the call that you guys had that maybe you're going to start implementing, or maybe already have started implementing? I'm going to see if I can see all of you. Let's see.
Well, I have something. I mean, Lauren, hi, everybody.
Hi, Tina.
Hi. I mean, Lauren, you took the words out of my mouth, but it is so true. First of all, it's not about me, and it's always, I'm just so ready to tell them everything, and rather step back and really listen. And, I too am ready to answer before. And this whole thing about what we're learning to listen more, it has been like a great lesson for me in all parts of my life. But, that's really big, for me to really hear, and so that I can see how their life would be different. And so I can start helping them dream better and take a look at that. So, that is all about, from listening more. And I love the analogy of driving the car, that I'm just a passenger in the car, yeah, I know when to stop and do all the stuff, but that I really loved. And the dripping, I love the dripping, that all that different ways and saying and asking and talking about the different, that's all the dripping. And it's just that when the time is right, then it all comes together. So I love that. And I just love that. This was a great call. I could listen to it 5 more times, because I just really realize there's so much. I mean, they're like giving the exact example and how to hear it and say it. And I mean, that I found it priceless. So, and when you're talking to someone who's for them to be coaching, I mean, they're looking, it's not like they need to be an expert. I mean, I've heard it so many times, I don't know enough, I can't, I've got to wait till I get to my goal. And it is so not that. And I just realized, because I did that myself, but I realized that the earlier in you get to coach, the earlier it is for your program, for everything, and for the learning. So that's what I got. And consistency and time equals success. That consistency. And I just have to be like tunnel vision and like a horse with blinders and just keep that focus and consistency. And then I just know down the line. And I love when someone's saying they've been doing this for 7 years, 7.5 years. So I think, oh, thank you, God. There's still hope. I'm not there yet. I've got a lot of time. So I know I'm okay. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Zena.
Zena, you are more than okay. My goodness. Yeah. Way more than okay. But I love how you're really focusing on the listening now too. That's so important.
And I love I know a lot of people talked about the teenage driving analogy, and I know you hit on that, Zena. But that kind of hit home to me too, because we can often think that oh, well, we can drive the car better. We know the places to go. We know all the traffic rules and all those things. But giving up that, relinquishing that control and letting them be the driver and us just being the passenger really hit home.
I don't know if am I on, Lauren?
Yeah, you're good.
One thing that super resonated with me was the phrase apprentice style learning. And I love that because to me, it just is so reassuring because feel like I have so much to learn. And when I'm wanting to bring on coaches, you can start to feel overwhelmed, like, how can I, coach them when I'm still in the learning phase? But when they talked about team coaching and coaching alongside, I just love that phrase because it just takes away all the pressure and all the stress of coaching coaches, is that we see it and explaining to them style learning, and that we're all coaching together. And that's, I love you, Dee. I love my daughter, Lauren. It's like, we aren't alone. We're doing this together as a team. And it's just so amazing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's the thing, is we're all here together, right? We're all here together to learn how to do it better. Like Lauren said, she learns every day. I mean, something that stood out to me was when Gina said, before she talks to them, she puts their health assessment on her chest and she says, like, if they knew about coaching what I know, how could it change their life? And just really approaching it from their best interest, and I think if we always have our heart there, it's, like you said, and then it's apprentice style training. You just come along and do it with us. It's just such a better approach to it. I think people are so much more receptive to it. Who else has like something you learned or maybe something you're struggling with?
I do have something. Can you hear me? It's Debbie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, and then we'll go, Mary Lauren, you can go after.
What I love is it said most people are not looking for an expert. They're looking for a friend or a family member. And I love that because I do think that's really true. You're just looking for somebody who you can rely on, you can talk to, you can be upfront with, not an expert. They can get an expert on the internet for something else, but they just really want a friend.
It's somebody that they know and they trust. It's such a good point. Such a good point is that, yeah. And I loved when they talked about bringing, when somebody brings a referral, to use that opportunity as well. I think somebody I was talking to today was talking about that. So, Mary Lauren.
There were two things that really just was like, blew my mind. The first one was when they were talking about not giving your new coaches too much information at once. Just, give them the next 3 steps or the next step. And I was like, because I'm like you guys, I just get so excited, and I'm like, yeah, but there's this and there's this, and there, you know, you can easily overwhelm them, and there's so many resources at our fingertips. I was like, duh, just give them the next couple steps at a time, and then slowly, like with the apprenticeship style, they're gonna learn it over time. And that was one thing. And then the other thing was, I think towards the beginning they were talking about, we don't have to sell this, you don't have to drip as far as saying, you know, something directly commenting about coaching every time you talk to them. They're going to see it in your posts and in your, how you're living. And I think it was Julie Apple posted something. It wasn't related to this. It was just a quote that I saw that said something like, there are look at me kind of girls in this world, and then there are come with me kind of girls in this world. And I thought that could directly apply to coaching. There, look at me, how awesome I'm doing in coaching, or come join me in this awesome ride. I mean, there's so much to offer. And I think just that shift in your mind of, you can see my success or you can join me in this, people see that clearly. And it was just like, oh, wow. I mean, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, that's huge, right? What a shift, and just making it something just like our program that they want to be a part of, right? We don't want to be talking anybody into anything. So really good points. And I really like that, what you said at the beginning about just giving them a few things, you know, from that Explore call, just, okay, now you're going to go order your kit. And then we're going to, you know, set up, you know, you told me about John, Sue, and Mary. Let's see if we can get calls with them in the next 24 hours or something. And I call that playing basketball. Give somebody, like, maybe, you know, this is good for any new coach, and we'll be talking about this when we get into more about starting a new coach, but giving them one or two things to do. I call that playing basketball. Now I'm putting it in your lap, like I'm passing the ball, Mary Lauren, you know, and then you come back and say, okay, I did it. My kit's ordered. I got these 2 calls scheduled. Okay, we do that. I'll pass the ball back. Here's the next thing, you know, and just kind of play it that way. And then you feel comfortable, I feel comfortable, and nobody hopefully gets overwhelmed in that process. All right. Yes, Katie.
I liked when they said every client deserves to be a coach, but not every client wants to be a coach. That's kind of, none of my clients are like every time I tell them, I'm like, and I've used that, where they said, where was it? You would be so good. Like, I've gotten to where even today, it's naturally now happening. I hear in my voice, and as you go through conversations, a lot of this naturally, if you are listening to them, it does just happen. Like this lady today, I mean, she was just talking about struggles she's had in her life and challenges, and she was saying, like, I just learned I have to be consistent. I have to do this, and I'm going, you would be such a good coach. And because you know all these things from what you had to deal with before. And it's just things like that it just kind of happens without really thinking about it. And but that really struck me with, like, I presented coaching to 2. I've started doing it since I'm a trainer. I started looking at more of the business part for a trainer, personal trainer. And so that kind of opened me up to some people that I hadn't thought about before. And I just mentioned it, like, you know, you could boost your business, and you've already got clients, you know, that trust you, or, you know, trust your judgment. And do you already have a nutrition program, you know, in place, and, you know, things like that. So it's a nice kind of, again, dripping kind of thing with, have you thought about an additional, you know, income that could boost your training business? So, yeah, it was very helpful.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. I think that was something, honestly, I had heard the word dripping over and over and over at, like, all these Optavia events, and I never really truly knew what it meant. And so it was good to hear in the video kind of what that meant. And it sounds like you've been doing a great job with that, Katie. And just, I think what you hit on about it just being natural, I think people really want to, like, you know, and we make it just a natural thing in their weekly chat. I think I loved when they said, you know, we bring it up early and we bring it up often, and not to a point that we're selling them on it, or not to a point that we're, you know, pushing it, but to a point that we're making it natural, where when we bring up that Explore call, it's like, oh yeah, of course I want to hear more, because we've talked about this along the way. And I love, what you shared about kind of highlighting why they would make a great coach. So that's great. Anybody want to talk about something that's been hard? That's something that still seems hard after even hearing the call?
Larry?
I've got something. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the mindset was so important. I think, the one comment, I wrote it down, understanding coaches is in the client's best interest. And I think sometimes we get a little, we get nervous, right? What are they going to think? We kind of get into our own head. And I think that's the key thing. We're in our head and we're not putting the client's best interest first. So, I get that way. I mean, sometimes, well, what do they think if they say no, or oh, I'm not doing that, or whatever, and that's me thinking. I'm worried about myself. And when I should only be, again, offering up, you hear this all the time, we're offering up a gift. And so it's just, I think, remembering that and just keeping that front of mind, that it's not about us, it's about offering a gift. And again, it's in their best interest, not just, it's really in their best interest for their long-term health program to be accountable and help themselves be accountable to themselves. So I got a lot out of that.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. Yeah, and it's funny, Tyler just raised his hand and I was about to call on you guys anyway. So, but Larry, thank you so much. I think that when they talked about the mindset, I find that in my mindset, I'm thinking about people as coaches or my clients as coaches already. And when I'm already seeing them in that light, and when I already know, like, oh gosh, they're going to make an amazing coach, and just kind of already thinking about that and getting those wheels turning, even when you're signing up a client, that mindset shift really helps the business, helps you to, think in that light and have that right mindset, and knowing that, yes, this is in your best interest. Yeah, Tyler, I'd love to hear from you guys. Tyler and Myrna.
Hey, everybody. I know, like for me, like with the mindset, it becomes quite difficult because I can look at the go-getters and stuff like that. People that I look at are very self-motivated. And so I immediately look to them and say, you know what, you'd be a great coach. You'd be a great coach. You'd be a great coach. But then it's like I immediately have a negative mindset towards people that don't have that mentality. I think to myself, like, okay, maybe they might just sign up as a client, rather than looking at the fact that they might have financial problems and stuff like that. And then it's like thinking, you know what, you have family members that could lose weight. You have friends that could lose weight that'd be able to be on this journey with you, while at the same time being able to help you financially. So I definitely think that this phone call this call has made a difference on a mindset change, so that I can be more focused outwardly, and looking at how it definitely is in the interest of the other person. So.
Yeah, I love that, Tyler. And it really, one of the things I thought that they really pointed out well is that, if we invite somebody to coach, to look at coaching, again, remember there's a difference between dripping and then asking them to actually do the Explore with you. And I love that when you actually do the invitation for the Explore and then they say yes, well, they're interested, right? They do want to know more. But one of the things they pointed out was, and that's why it's so important that we talk to our clients each week versus texting, because we're just not going to get the same at a text. You get to know our clients, and you're going to see where their pain point is. You're going to start to hear and feel what's going on in their life. And like you said, Tyler, it might not have been the first person you thought of right away, but there could be a potential in there, because if it fits somebody's need and we can show the match, that they could actually, like Larry, wouldn't you agree? We've had people that have become coaches that, that are, even myself, a quiet introvert, but then is able to do this well. So.
Yeah, I would say people, everybody comes to the table with their own skills and their own style. Again, introverts have health issues too, right? So introverts connecting with introverts are great. But it's really, we come to it, and that's the great thing about coaching. You can make it the way you want it. The thing is, again, the key thing that puts us all together is connection. How do we make the connection? How do we have that relationship with an individual that's then gonna, we're gonna paint that picture for them that they can help themselves and they can help others at the same time. Good point.
Yeah, I was just putting out there, I've actually heard at a recent event, I think it was at Sundance, they said that most coaches are introverts, and like when they look at the personality types, more the nurturing types, caring types, etc. So that's good. Like Carol T, introverts have family and friends too. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, see lots of, all introverts, raise your hand, right? Good. Well, what else? What else were some good takeaways or something that you heard that you can see yourself maybe saying that might make it easier for you? Because I'm just gonna be honest, I mean, sharing about coaching and starting the Explore process can be a little tricky and be a little uncomfortable. I mean, I've had individual conversations with coaches and I know I've experienced, so would love to help you through any thoughts you have around that.
I mentioned it in the chat, but something that Tyler and I, when we were listening to the call, we talked about was the referrals. So, our clients naturally, we ask them who's noticing, and they typically are telling us, yeah, my coworker saw me, or they're wondering what I'm doing, and helping our clients know how to talk about the program, but also when they come to us with those referrals, helping them realize that person is probably going to be 5 times more successful if they're the ones coaching them, because they have that relationship with them. They're already connected with them. And so that was a really good point for us, just, kind of figuring out how would we help our clients realize that referral, we don't need it, but it could really help them and benefit them in not only their health journey, but also in their coaching journey, if that's something that they want to pursue.
Yeah, and that's like, I think you said it earlier today, Myrna, when we talked, that's a great time for them to become a coach when they have a client or a potential client in their, in their hands at that point, somebody who's ready. So exactly right. And I think Meg, Johnson, you said that was a shift for you, that it really shifted thinking. And I think it'll make a difference. And we can individually get excited and be like, oh, good, another client. But at the end of the day, we know that if they coach them, it's going to be better for them. And then hopefully they'll attract more. Like Meg said before last week, she didn't send any referrals before she became a coach. And then now she and her team have helped so many people. So many more will get blessed as a result. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and I was just going to add too, and that's the perfect lead in to then again share the fact of team coaching, that they're not going to be on their own, right? So you go from step 1 right into step 2 and say, well, if you coach them, we'll be actually coaching them together, because we're going to team coach this, and so I can teach you to be a good coach. So it's kind of neat that way.
Yeah, so Lisa Bloom, you were just saying that, when people are saying that they are busy or whatever, timing's not right, but getting on the phone to explore when it will work. And I think that has been something that's been very helpful to me. I hope that you picked up on, this is really for everybody, that the Coach Explore call is really a separate call. So when you're doing your weekly check-in call or whatever, that's not a time that we want to, if they say, well, tell me a little bit more about coaching, it's really an invitation. Would you like to explore this? And then, doing it at a separate time. So then you have their full attention. Really recommend that you send them a trilogy call in advance. But we know that they're there at that call at that point because they do want to learn more. And they're not just, yesing you on their regular weekly call. But what I'll say to people now is, will you, how about we just do an Explore call? Because at this point, you don't know what you're saying yes or no to. So I don't know if it's going to be a fit either, but let's just take a look and, and just explore it further. So I think that can help a lot. That's helped me. And then just also know, like there was a Coach Explore form, which I included. Lean on your mentor, like your business coach. When your first Coach Explorers, just like your first health assessments, you want to bring them to a 3-way call with your coach. Let your coach lead that, let them follow the Explore guideline and help transfer that skill to you. And then ultimately you'll reach a point that you can do your own Explorers. And then your next step would be to do a meet and greet so that they do meet your mentor, your business coach. But, like I said, if you're a little nervous about this, whatever, you just ask them, would you want to explore it? And then you schedule a 3-way with your coach. Zena.
So, it says I'm muted. Oh, okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. so what is the suggestion in this? So if you do an Explore and somebody, you know, they're ready to coach, but they don't have anybody, they say, not that they don't, but they say, well, I don't have anyone right now, and I don't want to start now until I get 5 people or 1, you know. So, you know, what do you say to them in that case? Because, I mean, they don't have to wait, you know, and once they become the coach, it just sort of happens once they're in it. But that's something that I'm experiencing. So, well, I'm not, I don't have nobody, I have nobody that is interested right now. And I go to them about, what are you talking to them about? How are you talking to them? And all of that. And they feel that they want to wait until they have someone secure.
Dina, thanks so much for bringing that up, because I think we can all probably relate to that. I know Erin just said she has 2 people there right now. And honestly, I was that person before I became a coach. So Megan Darling, my coach, brought coaching up for a couple weeks before I decided to do it. And I told her, I was like, I will only become a coach when I don't want to pay the $199 until I have somebody ready to commit to do it. And what I find with people is what I like to recommend doing is for them to do a before and after picture on Facebook. And if they're not ready to do it themselves, then I will say, well, would you be willing to let me, you know, if you give me some wording to say and you give me a before and after picture, would you be willing to let me share a picture of you and tag you in it so that your friends and family can see that? Because sometimes I feel like in the beginning it can almost be easier for some people to put it out there on social media and get the ball rolling for them and go ahead and get some calls set up that way. And another thing that I loved that they talked about in the video today was, and I know that you kind of mentioned this, but having them think about who are the people in their world, whether they have said they're ready yet or not, but who are the people in their world that they would know Optavia would make an impact on, and whether that's their parents, their people in their family, coworkers, you know, and just say, well, you know, why don't you? I love the wording that she used in the video, Ms. Eccles used in the video about kind of explaining, hey, well, you know what, I've seen this incredible results in this amount of time since I've started on Optavia. It's really changed my life. And, you know, I would love to just explore that with you and just to see if it would be a good fit for you. And I need to do some training calls. So would you be willing to help me on some training calls? And I find that's how my mom became a client. And, you know, and I know that's how Meg's mom became a client too. And now they're both coaches. And so, yeah, I think that, you know, helping them think of ways to get interest. And it's okay if they don't sign up right away to coach. They can wait until they have someone ready if that's what they want to do. And I have had some coaches do that.
Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah. Katie, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to tap in. A lot of people too, I was this way. A lot of people too feel like they need to know everything before they have their first client. Like they want to I got my kit probably a month before I was even considering doing this. I wanted to read the Habits Health book. I wanted to underline. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to be prepared, you know, and I think I drove Julie nuts. So I was like, okay, what do I need to know? How many trainings, you know, what do we need to do? And this possible coach I've been working with, she's like, well, yeah, let me get these bills paid. And then I think I'll be ready. Can you send me one more video? You know, can you do this? And so I said, you're doing the exact same thing that I was doing. And I'm just going to tell you, now I'm on the other side of it, and you don't have to know everything. And I think it helps to kind of let people know that, because I think I know women tend to I know people that just have to have certain things, me in particular, you know, you feel like you have to know everything before you start something, for fear of not knowing a question. But now, obviously, once you've done it, it's like, you know, you're going, okay, I didn't have to know everything. And somebody's, like you said, you have a mentor there and you have so many people to fall back on, but they don't know that. So it's it's one of those things that I think that a lot of people are so hesitant to, like, they think it's such a big production, and it's really not.
And I think, Katie, I think those are great fears. Great thoughts. And I think so much of what you said, I think there's some fears there, and I think it's fear. And I think that's what our real role is, to help calm them and help them just take one step, one foot in front of the other. And it's honestly really why so much we say, like, with a referral or something, like, that's the time to start and just start, like, get into it, because there's so much information that, you literally could go into paralysis if you tried to know it all, and we used to fire hose our coaches with new information, and we really tried to scale that back. I think you can reassure them that we've got some great new health coach training that's available now. I think that's about all they need to do. It's, it's awesome, and it's doesn't take very long. So yeah, just keeping to reassure them. And again, like, getting them to that explore that we can then just talk about what their next step would be. So really good points. I'm going to close this out so we can move over to Dr. A's call, but I just did want to point, there was a question about finding where the trilogies are. And if you go to YouTube, Optavia has a YouTube channel, and you can put in Optavia trilogy calls, and you can find all the history of the calls. What's been great is they've been really doing niche calls for specific markets. So there's ones for retired people, for teachers, for nurses, they're doing one this Wednesday, I'll post it, it's for dentists. So it can really be all sorts of people. So that can be really great, is to pick one that is going to be really relatable to them. Or if not, there's always some generic ones. And then there's always the Dan Bell, very detailed business opportunity for somebody who is, really wants to know the nuts and bolts. But we find that the trilogy ones that share the stories and the ones that parallel their lives are the most effective, because that's what people connect to as a story, and then they can see themselves doing it. So thank you guys for this call. Thank you, Lauren, for facilitating, and we'll continue the conversation on our page, and I'll post the recording there, and we'll see you again next week. We'll be talking about how to launch a new coach and get them started. And don't forget about Saturday, if you're in the Atlanta area, go ahead and get registered for our Optavia event. All right, we'll see you. Thanks, you guys.